It's 32 minutes after 8. I'll call the Carroll County Commissioners meeting to order.
I need a cheat sheet because we're going to go into non-public session.
Yep. And the first item on the agenda is to formalize, finalize the budget. And to do that, we're going to go into non-public, because we're going to be talking about individuals and individual increases. So if, I'd like to make a motion then under RSA 91A3, paragraph 2A, that we go into non-public. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Yes. Commissioner Sorensen?
Yes.
Commissioner Babson?
Yes.
And so voted. We're now in non-public. Thank you, Ed.
Give me just a second here, please. Yes. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And she'll be in when she gets by the fire truck, right?
That is correct.
Okay.
Okay, we talked about raises for the department heads that we're responsible for. We did not seal the minutes. And now we're at a point to finalize the budget in public. I would suggest that we add to the capital budget $30,000 for electronic data collection, storage. I'll make that a motion.
Can we amend it, David?
Sure can.
Well, I'll
You
second the
second it?
motion. I'll
Okay.
second the motion.
Now you can amend it.
Why don't we add into it that the money is there only to be spent on the recommendation of the IT committee?
Okay. Good point. I'll second the amendment. Any further discussion on the amendment? All those in support of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And so voted.
Was that 3-0, 3-0, or 2-1? How did you vote, Commissioner Kenney?
I voted to approve the amount.
Okay.
Approve the amount. Okay.
3-0.
Now we will act
should
on the
be in
motion as
anyway.
amended.
Even if the IT, I mean, it should be in anyway, even if the IT doesn't actually recommend it, it should be in.
Now we'll vote on the motion
Amended.
as amended.
Yep.
All those in support of the motion of $30,000 with the idea that it would be recommended by the IT committee. All those in support of the motion say aye.
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 Unanimous. So voted. You want to make a recommendation regarding the farm, Commissioner Babson?
I'd like to make a motion that we put $20,000 into the capital reserve fund for, to support well, I don't need to put that in for a snow plow truck.
I'll second it.
Discussion?
It's discussion.
I'm putting it in to support Will's planning. One of the things we've lacked around here for as long as I've been around is foresight and planning, and I think Will has tried to put together a program where we can roll these vehicles over before they don't have any floorboards or windows or wipers or whatever else is on the truck. And I think this is a good way to do it. It also takes the bump out of the tax bill when it comes along. So I strongly support putting the money in, and I think it should have been done last year too.
All those in support of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Then make it unanimous.
How much was the amount? Was it 20,000?
$20,000 put in capital reserve, earmarked for plow truck, to go towards a plow truck. We're not purchasing one this year. Anything else regarding the budget?
Yep.
Go ahead. Oh, you want to, go ahead.
I just want to add $5,000 for safe.
$5,000 under the commissioner's budget.
Yep.
For what? For safe?
Yep.
For safe goes under new equipment. So that would make it from 1,000 to 6,000. You make that a motion?
Yes.
I'll second it. Discussion?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Well, if we're gonna go to cloud storage, we don't need we don't need we don't need a safe. B, the bill going in, as far as I know, is gonna redefine what a safe is a fire retardant file or fire resistant or whatever. There's got to be better ways to do it than in the days of stagecoaches in Wells Fargo.
You know what
And I'm
I'm
gonna vote against it.
Well, the bill is not in yet, and we don't know if it passed. The RSA said that we need to have safe. So what is going on here for years, and today, every day, we're breaking the law because there's no safe. The non-public minutes, it will be still in paper. I don't think that if that will go into the cloud, we need to have a safe to put in the settlements, the non-public minutes, all the action taken up by the commissioners needs to be in the safe.
I agree with you, but I'm going to back off my second. I'd like to see it go into capital reserve.
So we're not getting a safe then?
I'm saying that it'll go into the capital reserve fund, $5,000 for a safe.
Why is it not going on the new equipment? Because we're purchasing
Because
a
I'm
safe.
recommending that it go into capital reserve. Do I hear,
Okay, capital reserve then.
you want to make that a motion that it goes into capital reserve?
Yeah, you said you
No,
put it.
do you want to make a motion?
No, I just want to add it by the new equipment.
I'll make a motion then. Since it was,
I think,
since,
Mr. Chairman, point of order, I believe that Commissioner Kenney made a motion, and we either have to vote it down or vote it up. before-
no, I withdrew my second, so
Oh,
now
you withdrew
we,
your second,
so
okay.
now we don't have a
No, we don't
second,
have
You're right.
nothing.
so
Let's do it then in capital reserve. That's fine.
you make a motion to go into capital reserve?
Yeah.
I'll second it. Any further discussion? All those in support of $5,000 for a safe goes in the capital reserve
By
fund?
RSA.
All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, nay.
I am opposed.
Okay, 2-1 goes into capital reserve. Anything else to be brought up regarding the budget?
Yes, if you look at the sheriff budget, I believe he said he wants to make a 2 part-timers salary, the court bailiffs. I look up the one, he wants to put $30,000 a year. And I believe in 2011, it was only paid $20,000. I don't agree with making the court bailiff's salary.
I'm sorry,
Well-
but I didn't catch what.
She said she believes in 2011 that the court bailiffs was 20,000, and
They
he's
got
looking
paid
for 30,000.
$30,000 a year. In 2011, I see he got paid $20,000 a year. There are 2 part-timers, and he wants to pay them $30,000 a year going on salary.
That's for both of them.
Yes, 2 part-timers.
So that's 15 each.
What? No, $30,000 a
Each?
person, yes.
Okay.
So
what I
$60,000. And so wherever they work, 10 hours or 25 hours, they just get paid $30,000 a year.
You know what I would suggest is that when the subcommittee meets with the sheriff's department, that be discussed at that time. Therefore, he would be here to defend his recommendation.
So, Commissioner Kenney, are you saying the increase from 116,000 to 146,000 is to make 2 part-timers full-time?
On salary, he wants to pay 2 part-timers $30,000 each.
Well, I don't know that I get that in my notes, but maybe.
I think what he's trying to do
That is
is
what he said.
reduce the cost by having part-timers versus full-timers.
No, he already had to, it was already set up like that, but they will be paid hourly for how many hours they work. And in 2000, if you look up 2011, one get paid $20,000 a year.
Okay.
And now, whatever hours they're working, they still get paid the $30,000. So even if they work 10 hours or 30 hours, they get paid.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Can I make a
Go ahead,
suggestion?
Commissioner.
We're gonna be at this for another 2 or 3 hours. Could, at some point, we have the sheriff come up and explain it to us before we finish this up?
Yeah, I'm hoping that we're not going to be here for another 2 or 3 hours
Well,
on
let's
this.
say we're an hour. It's only a 30-second trip up the stairs.
I'm all ready to go with what we've...
Well, I wanna find out whether
Would you have the
Commissioner
sheriff
Kenney
to
is
come in if
correct
you
on
can?
this, because if it is,
It's in regards to the 2 part-timers. Thank you.
And the other thing, if you look at the HR budget, she put in $100,000 for 2 person. She give her assistant an increase of $4,000, and everyone else get the 40 cents, gets around $830.
That's because the HR generalist is going on salary versus hourly wage.
Yeah, she's put it on salary, that's fine, but if you look at the other generalist pay and you look at the education, they all have a background in HR, in human resources, and they are very well educated.
you insinuating that ours isn't very well educated, or what is the
Well,
problem?
even in a thank you note said she doesn't have the background in HR.
What do you mean she doesn't have the background?
That is what she said, read your thank you note.
What?
Read your thank you note, she doesn't have the background in HR.
What note, David?
The
Thank you note.
Thank you note. I don't know what she's talking about.
She came for the interview, she came for the interview also, and she wrote a thank you note.
What she
Just
doesn't
read it.
have is a certification for an HR generalist. She has everything else, and she has a lot of experience, and
Experience in what?
if
What
you
is-
want to begrudge her because she isn't a Harvard graduate, you go
what
ahead,
is
but I'm not
every-
going to do that.
What is everything else?
And she certainly
Okay.
works, we're going to be better off if she works as a salaried employee, and she'll be happier. And
Well,
They put in, HR has been
Don't
putting in a
agree with
lot
the
of extra
increase.
put in
hours.
huge amounts of time.
And it was recommended by the previous HR that the journalists go on salary.
she
And it's
looked it up.
recommended by the present HR that she go on salary.
She just read her note.
And I don't know, have we made a motion that she go on salary? I don't believe so, but we can
Is
make
that
it
our
again.
responsibility?
Sure it
Don't
is.
we put the money in the
I
budget?
think you have
and,
voted on that, actually.
What's
The
that?
pre-
I think you have voted on
The
that.
previous
We
one.
did
they-
We did
vote?
a couple of 3-4 sessions ago, I think we
Yeah,
did.
the previous one recommended the previous HR, but I believe she recommended $36,000, not $40,000. And do you have, there is also a flyer about for all the counties, you said you have that?
Yes,
So I don't know if I can see it later, if you have it.
it's sitting on my desk. I got it this
Oh,
morning,
okay.
but it's been on the internet.
It's been?
Yep, I got it, must have been 2 days ago, Monday probably. And it lists every county, and it goes in a lot of detail. I was surprised. Goes down to the LNAs and housekeeping. I mean, it was more of a complete salary review than anyone I had ever seen. The question come up, Sheriff, regarding 2 part-time deputies, I believe it's
bailiffs.
deputies?
Yep.
Oh, court bailiffs?
The court
They're
bills, yeah,
part-time deputies.
yeah.
99% of their work is done as bailiffs. either in the court or transporting prisoners.
Yeah,
What I wanted to do is separate them from the regular part-time salaries, so that, because some of their salary is reimbursed by the state,
yep,
so I could get a better handle on using regular part-timers for deputy work.
so these would not be getting any state reimbursement for these two?
These two would,
Those two would?
yeah.
So how, what do you mean separating them from the state?
I wanted to make their line item separate for, I
For-
believe it was $30,000.
Right,
I believe.
That covers the majority of the hours that they work at the courthouse,
yeah,
whether it be at the courthouse or transporting.
yeah,
When they're working at that position, $65 of their salary is reimbursed by the state
okay.
for custody and control.
That's true for the others as well?
No,
No,
for the bailiffs it is, not for, not for regular road deputy part-timers.
oh, are we talking about bailiffs, or are we talking about road?
No, he's talking about deputy sheriffs, David, the
The
two of
court
them that work
bailiffs.
over at
Yeah.
the court.
Right now.
And he wants to pay them as bailiffs while they're bailiffs, and pay them as deputy sheriffs when they're doing deputy sheriff work, right, Tom?
Right, they get a part-time wage when they're doing transports outside the courthouse. But during that time, it's also reimbursed $65 a day for custody and control of that prisoner.
Yeah,
So basically, the salary is subsidized by the state in the end. So I want to take their salary, right now, I only have one part-time salary line.
okay,
So I want to take those two out of it for $30,000, because I really have no money for part-timers to work road.
mhm,
So this would help me see what actually is being used for dollars during the year, and what is getting reimbursed.
in order to get to $65, they have to work a full day?
Yes. And if they don't, they get half. They get
If they only work a
6:30.
couple hours over there, they get half the amount?
there's half, just like the regular bailiffs.
Bailiffs.
Yeah, half or full.
And you put that in, request into the state, and it's a reimbursement?
Yes. So I wanted to make another line for that as court deputies, basically, would be, we could title it that way.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
But it's not here now, it's all under court bailiffs,
Right now, they're all
court bailiffs.
court bailiffs or part-time, because when they work, they get a part-time salary. I think it's $18 an hour.
Well, Sheriff, your court bailiff increase is $30,000 on your budget here.
Is that how?
Where is the part-time portion of it if you're paying them each $30,000 a year?
He
Where is
wants
that?
to add that, I believe.
Or do you want to add that as a line item?
So, right now, that's showing a $30,000 increase in part-time bailiff? I mean,
And I also have a question. I look
okay,
up-
so that's how
Wait a minute.
the business officer looks like she did it. She took,
But you'd like a line item as court
Separate.
deputies, and that would be $30,000.
yes,
So that would come out of, that would reduce the court bailiffs and increase in salaries of $30,000 to
a separate line.
yeah,
What do you
separate
wanna-
line county
What do you want to call that other line?
I would
County
call it
deputies.
court
court
deputies.
deputies, excuse me.
Court deputies?
Salary for court deputies.
I also have a question or
Okay.
a comment. I look up the
didn't know how she did that.
I look up the 2011, the court bailiff, they get paid $20,000 a year in 2011. One was paid.
But they're only doing court work. What he wants them to do is court work and road work.
Yeah,
Right.
but the total
You're
paid,
saying one themselves,
one of them, the total paid was $20,000.
okay,
Because he was hourly and whatever he worked, that is what he got paid.
yeah.
But now you want to pay them $30,000.
No, it's $30,000 between the two of them. It's not each or anything like that. They split the week of work. Only one of them can be doing that position.
So it's one position, but you got two part-times filling it
Yes,
for a total of 30,000,
yes.
not 30,000 each.
No.
It's
right.
not, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought the other day
No.
you said it was $30,000 each
No,
part-time.
and there's no benefits that the county has to pay or anything
Yeah.
like that.
So
Thank you.
this, each is then $15,000.
Well-
Is that correct?
Right, it won't break up like that because one may work one day this week and one may work 4 days. There's 32 hours a week
Total.
allotted for that position. How they break it up is
I'm told it's gonna
changes
be
week to week.
$30,000.
Mhm. Okay,
And that is included, the transport, or is that separate?
That includes anything they do.
Okay.
Commissioner Kenney thought it was $30,000
I
a
believe
piece.
that when I
No.
talked to you, you told me you want to be part-time and you want to pay them each $30,000.
No.
So you mean both of them?
Right, that
$30,000.
position,
Okay.
You have any other changes in your budget since we met last?
No, I think the only note I want to make is the grant that the Homeland grant we're going for.
Yep.
We're going for a larger amount, which would include Ossipee Mountain Valley Association in with us because.
As a matching type?
Because, no, this would be 100%, whatever we get is 100%.
Okay,
To tie in with their communication issues, because we all use the same communication dispatch,
yeah.
and we all monitor each other's channels and everything, and we basically could use them if we needed to, in a
Mhm.
disaster,
So, out of that 300,000, you're asking for all of it now? Before, I believe you
Well,
told
we're
us
asking,
2,000,
right,
200,000.
we're asking for whatever we can. We're asking for a lot of money.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the figure is gonna be for Ossipee Mountain. Initially, they told me 700,000, and again, if we go for our simulcast, that was a figure I told you of 500,000. So that's what the sheriff's office will be looking at alone. And then Ossipee Valley may be looking at more. So, I mean, it could be in the area of 1.2 in the end, million.
So we're looking at what, 3, 4, 500,000? 2, 3, 4 years in a row?
No, one year. And like I said, if we get, whatever we get will be 100% by the grant.
Sheriff, you lost me. You
Yeah,
came in
I'm
here-
lost too.
Okay.
You came in here and you asked for $300,000 for a
I
new
did.
radio system.
Because we were
Now you're
going,
telling us it's 1.8, you're telling us it's not gonna come in here 3 years in a row for
1.8.
300,000. It's gonna come in all in 1 year, and it's only 300,000, but a $1.2 million system.
no.
I'm confused.
Originally, we were gonna go for just the first phase of the project,
Which was how much?
which was 300,000.
Okay.
Okay, and that included new consoles and dispatch, plus some upgrades in the communication system. After working on this grant and bringing in some information from other counties that have received the grant, they recommended that we go for
A larger amount.
the larger amount to encompass the whole project that we were looking at for a 3-year project.
Okay.
Because
So
this-
that was looking to increase it to what, $1.2 million?
500 for the sheriff's side of it,
Okay.
and the last figure I got from OVMA was 700,000 to do their upgrades, but that's the only figure I know, so it could be less than that. So that's why I said 1.2 total.
So your total request for the grant is,
Must be a 1.2.
It may be 1.2.
well, what are you requesting in the
Well,
grant?
we're still working on the grant.
Are you still working on
Yeah,
it?
we haven't come up with that total figure, so. And again, it's 100%, so whatever we get, it will be 100%. It's
Okay,
not
right now,
matching.
in your budget, we have 300,000.
We have 300 in a
You're
capital
gonna leave it that
fund-
way?
In a capital fund. If you have to put it into the delegation, for more than that, then I would recommend at least 500,000.
More.
No, for the sheriff's side,
Mutual aid is 700,000.
possibly. I mean, that was the figure
The
we,
sheriff is 500,000, David, and that's where the $1.2 million comes from.
Right.
We've got it in the capital reserve for 300,000.
Right.
And,
I guess my not knowing, if we were to get a grant, say at $1 million,
Yeah.
if we did not have it projected in the budget and as revenue, could that be turned down because of that? I would not think so.
I don't think so.
Okay.
say that again?
You're saying that if we don't have it in our budget and he gets the grant, he thinks it would get turned down.
Could the delegation turn it down, or yourself?
Why would they be voting on the grant? We're the ones that accept the grants.
Well, I mean, right,
They
yourselves.
they ultimately have control of the budget. But if we get a grant for it, and everybody, all the other sheriff's departments in the state is getting it or has it already,
Why would they
Why
turn
would
it
they
down?
turn it down?
Exactly.
okay? I think we leave it just the way it is. We got 300,000 in capital improvement for the sheriff's department for communications. Period. Now, if we get a grant that's $1.2 million or whatever, great. Okay?
And this, yeah, I mean,
He would like to raise it to 500,000, David.
I know what he's talking about. I got that.
I said if we have to do it, so not to get rejected in the future. If
If you're
we only
talking
put in for
about-
300 and we get 500, is there a technicality there that you have to turn it down?
Oh, I see.
I would
what you
not
mean.
imagine
Okay.
so, but,
But the whole state is going over on this system, is that correct?
well, each county is upgrading their own systems. Belknap County was awarded this grant, Cheshire County was awarded this grant. So it's been,
For $1
in
million
the last
each?
2-3 years. No, they have different levels. I'm not
Yeah.
sure what their bottom line was, but
So you mentioned the first phase. The first phase is the 300,000, what you want to put on?
that was the initial
Initial.
thought.
That's the first phase?
But now we're gonna go for it all at once because we don't know if the grant will be there again. And we'll ask to do the whole project at once.
And the all-in-ones is, what is it again?
Off the top of my head.
Forget the
1
phases.
1.2, but the sheriff's side
1.2.
would be 500,
Go ahead,
Okay.
I
Commissioner.
believe.
Who's giving us the grant?
The
Where's it coming
Homeland- The federal
Homeland.
Homeland grant.
Homeland Security?
Comes straight from the federal government.
Yeah.
How many strings are attached?
It's
Do we
a
have to buy
very,
2 more Humvees to go with
No.
it, or?
no, it's a
We
very
get the Humvee
complicated,
and the radio comes with it, what's the problem?
it's a very complicated application. And we're working on that. We have until the 13th to submit it. So we have basically 2 weeks to,
And you're
done.
promising us there's no strings attached.
right, no.
We don't have to get a dog or
One in
anything else
five.
to go along with it.
No.
1 in 5 applicants get it. If you don't fill in something that you should have, that it's kicked out to the side, and you don't get
You
considered.
don't get a second chance to put your zip code in?
No.
Wow.
Then if the grant is going in and you need a commissioner on it, Commissioner Babson will sign for it. Because I'm not going to be here. Okay?
Oh, that's right.
Okay?
All right,
Thank you very much for coming up and
We're
clearing
going to
that
leave
up.
it the way it is.
all right,
Okay?
thank you.
So it's 30,000.
And Thank you, Ashley.
Yeah, thank you.
Pointing that out.
So it's
Okay.
30,000 now.
You got other parts of the budget that you want to talk about?
No, that was it. We had finished up, and
Then are we
Commissioner
ready?
Kenney was raising the questions, but that was a good one.
So right now, our budget should be somewhere around 2% increase over last year.
Before wages,
Before union wages, correct?
before insurance increases.
Before insurance increases. We
Okay, so
don't know what they're going to be, so right now,
Basically,
we're a little
what you're
less-
saying, the ones we have control over is up.
1.7 actually, but we'll
It
probably
does
end up-
include his 300,000, and it does include the BEAS 200,000.
Right.
And we're up a total before wages of 500,000, and there's the 500,000 right there.
Right. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So our budget right now stands, I think, 1.7. Okay, anything further on the budget? Do I hear a motion that we accept the budget now that has been finalized?
What about, we didn't talk about the increases of salaries or what everyone is getting? Did you mention that? What all the non-union is getting? The
Non-union's
union-
getting 40 cents.
The union
We
is
meant-
still in negotiation.
We voted on
Non-union is
that
getting
last
40
week, actually.
cents.
We voted on that last
And
time.
what other department heads getting those increases?
And we just went
40.
into non-public session on that 30 minutes ago.
Yeah, but are we not announcing that then to the public? I mean, we're just putting it in and leaving it there? I think bonuses and increases, that should, it's public information.
Well, if you'd like to make
Go
it
ahead.
public, go ahead.
You make it?
Bonuses, I don't know what
We're
bonuses.
not talking about
what you give.
bonuses.
Nobody
This-
talked about bonuses.
This is not a bonus.
Yeah, but didn't you give bonuses or not?
We didn't give any bonus, and we haven't talked about any
You didn't give
bonus.
any bonus?
Where have you been? We
Not
went
last
over
week
it.
or 2 weeks ago, you didn't give anyone any bonus? I believe you did give bonuses away.
Yes.
We gave a slight bonus to the two people over at the nursing home, a stipend for their awards at the county center, and that's the only bonus that we've talked about for the last 11 months.
Right.
And what are the increase?
They were $300.
No, the increases for the department heads.
Well, you were here 30 seconds ago and voted on it. Why don't you
You
want
wanna
to make
announce
it
it? Go
public? Go
ahead.
ahead.
Yeah, well, release the minutes first, just in the,
They
It's in
they
the
weren't
non-public
sealed, so
minutes.
they were open to the public.
yeah, okay, so now, you announce it then. what
You do.
did.
No, you do.
You want to announce it, you announce it.
Okay, so I believe.
No, you don't believe.
I have to look it up. Oh, I have it right here. I believe the farm department head is getting an increase. And,
And that's it.
and I don't have the other increases. I don't know if you give increases, if they already had it, I don't know. But it's just the numbers what I have here. But I also want to say, every employee action taken by the commissioners should be signed by 3 commissioners, the contract or the agreement. I should have a copy filed. And the increases should be also there in the contract, whatever we have. there
We
should
don't have
be-
any contracts with our
There should
employees.
be a record. With the department heads, we have a contract.
We don't have a contract with the department head either.
We don't have a contract?
No,
Then
we
what
don't.
is the agreement, what you made up? That is not any agreement, no contract?
That's a hiring.
You said it is by contract.
Contract is not something that we look at every year. It's not a contract. These are hired employees.
I understand that, but I said there should be a vote taken by the 3 commissioners. The 3 commissioners should sign it, and it is an action taken up by the board, and I should have a record.
Yeah, okay. Any further talk on the budget? Do I hear a motion that we approve the budget as we've presented it with the corrections today of adding 5,000 in capital reserve for safe, 30,000 in there for capital reserve for a electronic data storage system, and 20,000 in there for capital reserve for a plow truck?
I'll move that.
I'll second it. Any further discussion on our 2014 budget? Hearing none, all those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, nay.
I oppose.
You're opposed to the full budget, right? That's what-
I oppose on part.
Well, we're voting on the whole
We're
budget.
Voting on the whole budget.
You're still voting no?
Yep, I vote no.
Okay, 2-1. We approved the budget as we've worked on it for the last 3 months, I guess. Okay. Wow, we're way ahead of time. Let's look at the minutes for last week. And do we have the non-public minutes for last week also?
I actually messed them up this week, so they're not ready.
Okay.
But didn't you have, were you not going to redact?
Those are ready.
Okay, now do that. Any corrections? November 20, 2013, public minutes?
I'd like to take a few minutes and read it, but you got corrections? Go ahead.
Okay, that's sweet.
On page 1, public session.
Yep.
Could be wrong, but I believe you came out of the non-public and announced that the minutes were sealed.
Okay, page, well, there's no page, okay. Page 1. Are you reading by public session?
Am I what?
Public session, the first page.
Where are you reading? By public session?
Yep.
First page, public session. Commissioners reconvened in public session at 10:25 and took a brief recess. I believe we also stated that, or you did, Mr. Chairman,
That the minutes were sealed.
That the minutes were sealed, then we have to add that the minutes were sealed.
So would you add that?
Yeah.
Page 2.
Yep.
Top of the page. He said that the commissioners had generally reduced money for education, but may need to restore some of it, particularly at the nursing home. I don't remember a discussion, and I certainly didn't say that we were reducing the education level, because I feel we should increase it. So that ought to be changed somehow.
But we did reduce the education
Yes, we
in
did.
several
for-
departments.
For the,
Okay,
but
you're
we
saying
didn't
that
make
the
it a policy that
commissioners,
we were gonna decrease education.
okay. You said that the
I
commissioners had
think-
generally reduced money for
Sorry.
education. Well,
I think that was maybe the conversation about Becky Mason. Didn't you say you went to the nursing home and you had a conversation, and she
Yeah.
said she needed money to send a couple employees for courses?
Commissioner Babson, I don't see anything wrong with that.
Okay.
I said the
that's fine.
commissioners had generally reduced money for education, but may need to restore it, especially in the nursing home, because of sending LNAs to school to become RNs to help reduce our agency costs.
Mr. Chairman, the only thing
Go ahead.
I object to is, he said the commissioners had generally reduced money for education.
Yep.
I don't feel that that's what we did here. We did reduce it in a couple of spots in a couple of departments, but that wasn't one of our goals, which I read it as being.
Okay, what would you like to change it to?
He said the commissioners had reduced money for education and may need to restore it, particularly at the nursing home.
To go
Say
generally.
that,
Maybe
They go generally.
take out generally, okay. Okay, sounds good.
Page 2. Last, next to last paragraph. That was, I added at that point that one reason for not for having a capital reserve is that the delegation would have to come down here to approve it, and it would be costly for a slight increase. I may not, I mentioned cost of meeting, also.
What would you like it to read?
Well, had to respond quickly to emergency of that type, and something about the additional cost of coming in to do it. Be one thing if we could vote electronically, but we can't.
An additional cost,
Yeah.
okay? After, of that type and additional cost? Anything else? on that?
Yeah, page 3, second paragraph about the sheriff, we just got talking about his radio.
Yep.
And I think I said at the time, you know, if you don't get the grant, you don't get the radios. And he was explained today. I know I said that. My question was if it's in the budget and he doesn't get the grant, can he go ahead and spend it anyway because the money's there and it's been appropriated? I just,
Okay, how you want that to read?
well.
You did say it, I remember that.
If you don't get the grant, you don't get the radios.
Commissioner Babson? Said, if you don't get the grant, you can't
Purchase the radios.
purchase the radios. Okay, you got that?
What is Jerry's last name?
And under Ms. Gary,
What is
speaking of
Jerry's
Jerry,
last name?
Gagnon.
Jerry Gagnon.
Gagnon. That was my next one. The last one on this page is third paragraph from the bottom. Commissioner Babson reported that Representative Bucco had accepted the commissioner's proposed bill. It isn't the commissioner's, it's mine.
That's who it is. Single commissioner, you.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. I just changed it to his.
Okay.
How you wanted to read again?
Just, Bucco had accepted his proposed bill. You people didn't,
So you're on page 3?
weren't part of
Yep.
it.
Okay.
And you leave it that way? Did it change anything?
Yeah, take out commissioners and put his in there,
Commissioner, accept.
right here. Take out commissioners and
Oh,
put his.
okay.
Go ahead, Commissioner Babson.
Uh-huh. Page 4. Two paragraphs up from public input. Mr. Chandler said that although the nursing home budget was only up $100,000, which means it essentially level funded, I don't consider up $100,000 level funding.
I don't either. But what he,
Compared to some of the increases we've had in the past, it's level funded, but it isn't level funded at $100,000.
he may have meant that when we get the revenue side in there, it may be level funded. Because we're getting more revenue.
Well, I just started it.
Well, he said that, so we leave it.
Okay.
What else you got?
I think the last one is on page 7. Let me see what I said here. Should we show the, Commissioner Sorensen asked that the record reflect the minutes for by session. My only note was, would it be appropriate in that point to list the 4?
Identify the 4?
Yeah, and then if it ever comes back to
Yeah.
I don't see where you are. Page 7?
page 7.
Last page.
second paragraph.
Oh, last page. Okay, the commissioner. Of 4 non-public sessions?
Yes. So we will list the identified,
Minutes of
four.
phone numbers should
Okay.
have been sealed. Minutes that have been sealed with sharp.
okay?
So I have a question on page 7. You were
That's the last
mentioned-
page.
Oh, page 4. You mentioned, the request, was it $3,000 for the Blue Loon Transit, or was it $2,000?
Thought it was 2.
I believe that you said it was 2.
It's 2.
Okay.
And
Where was that? Okay.
And you said that you asked me to write a letter to the person who requested?
Yes.
Where
I thought
are
that
you?
we
Where
talked,
you-
but
Same-
you
same
didn't
paragraph.
say that I. Did you-
Commissioner
did you
Sorensen
ask me?
asked Commissioner Kenney to write him a letter suggesting that he addressed his request to the delegation.
So you asked me to write a letter?
Yep.
Yes, he did.
Oh, I didn't, I just
Yep.
read it here. I didn't hear that then, because I didn't write anything.
Well,
Then I have to write a letter to,
Write a
who
letter
do
to
I have
Jack,
write? To Jack Rose?
yes,
Oh, okay.
Jack,
I didn't watch the video. Was it a request? Did you know that? Okay, I will make a note here.
just write him,
letter
just write him a short note saying that the
to Jack
commissioners
Rose.
Suggested he go to the
suggested
delegation.
that he bring this up at the delegation meeting.
Like last year, didn't they went to the delegation?
Yep.
Okay, a letter to Jack Rose about the request of the 2001.
Any other changes?
No, I didn't see any.
Do I hear a motion to accept the minutes of November 20th as corrected?
May I ask,
Give-
may I ask for clarification in part of the minutes
Yes.
also? And I just wanted to clarify for the record, on page 5, the very top paragraph, when
Page 5.
Commissioner Kenney was talking about my offer letter, and they're offer letters, they're not contracts, and I think Commissioner Sorensen just had mentioned that my offer letter says a rate of pay for $53,000, and after the probationary period, an increase to 58, and then upon completion of 1 year, to 60,000. And I just wanted to clarify because Commissioner Kenney
Okay,
had
take out the contract.
it take out contract, and it's an offer letter,
It
and
said this agreement. The letter said this is agreement.
It's not a contract.
it's not a contract,
It's
it's
a
an
hiring.
offer letter.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
it is
Go
on
ahead.
paper.
And that 53 is correct, to a raise of 58
Yep.
after 6 months, and to 60,000 after a year.
Yeah, I don't know what you want to clarify. What is the clarification?
Wants to
It-
take out contract.
Well, and also she said, with a raise to 55 after 6 months, and the contract has 58 with 60,000 after 6 months.
After additional
in the
6
minutes.
months.
Well, the minutes said, you were here, also in non-public, you were here for the interview. What it said in the minutes and what we voted up and agree, and you took the offer, was $53,000, and after 6 months, $55,000. Suddenly, there was a different letter with a different amounts,
Yeah.
$58,000 to $60,000 after 6 months, and you have that agreement or whatever you want to call it.
Okay, we're taking
Offer
out,
letter.
we're taking out contract out of that paragraph. And then with 60,000 after additional 6 months.
That is what a letter said, but
That-
what we
that's-
folded up and the
That's what
motion,
we're
what we
putting
made,
in the minutes.
and what we approve.
Right. And then if you look down the bottom, Commissioner Sorensen's motion, seconded by Commissioner Babson, that they add $2,000 HR salary budget, and you voted no.
And where is that?
The next paragraph.
Oh, okay, the same page, okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
with-
so
is that-
regards,
So take out the contract.
only contract you
Yep.
want taken out.
But I just want
Yep.
to make sure that it's clear that
Okay.
it's an offer letter.
Yeah, but
Thank
that
you.
is, so that is what we agree, and that is what we voted up, that is what you accept, and that is what we did in public. We make the motion, we voted for $53,000 offer, and after that, $55,000.
60,000.
Your offer
Okay.
letter or whatever was totally different.
Do I have-
Never a vote taken, never a motion made,
Did I,
and I never saw that letter before and was never signed by one commissioner. I think every action taken up on the board, especially the offer letters, agreements, or contracts, should be signed
I
by
think
all
it-
the commissioners.
I think
and
it
all
was
the
agreed by the
commissioners should
board
receive.
that I would negotiate with the HR person.
And the negotiation was $53,000, what you came back. You make
I
the
would neg-
motion yourself.
I know. And we made a motion to
left-
give her
we
extra
left it for you.
2,000.
Yeah, but I'm
negotiate.
talking
2013.
about what was going on.
We
Okay.
left
This
we left it
was-
up to you, Mr. Chairman, to negotiate in case that wasn't
And the
enough.
negotiation
right.
was $53,000 with an increase
How do you
and was
negotiate when it's set,
$55,000.
when it's set, okay?
You
Do I hear a motion to accept the minutes?
You are.
I'll make a
in
motion
the
that we accept the
meeting.
minutes of November 20th. 2011 as corrected.
as corrected. Okay, I'll second the motion. Any further discussion? All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, nay.
Commissioner Kenney?
Do I hear?
Yeah.
Yes, what?
Yes, I voted as corrected.
Okay. And that's 3-0.
Support is 3-0?
Yep. Morning, Ann. Did your,
I don't see Ken yet.
has he called or?
No,
No? So you're still planning on being here?
I'm assuming he is.
Okay. Lynette, do you know what that non-public session is for?
I do.
You
Oh,
Yes, I do.
what is it for now?
Uh,
Personnel? Or,
Well, what would I call it?
Under the attorney, maybe under the attorney conference.
No.
we got plenty of time.
I'll do it now.
If we could do it right now instead of at 11?
This is yours.
Yeah.
It's,
Could I ask a question though, because I, actually, I might even see it on here. Okay, so that's his increase. Okay, because I have to give that to Kathy, so she
Okay.
can finish that. And also, there was the other increase that we had talked about with Will.
We did that.
That was it.
Not for him, but for his employee. And
Oh,
it was
yes,
revised.
yes. I thought we voted on that last week, didn't we?
For his employee?
Well,
Yeah.
we would look at the whole entire thing, so I'm
Well,
not
why don't we
sure
go
if
in a
you-
non-public for my matter, and we can take care of that while we're in there.
Okay.
And then Kathy can put all the numbers in and bring it back to you.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, you got what we added.
Yes.
It's all under capital improvement. 5,000, 20,000, 30,000.
Yeah, Kathy was there listening to the 5 for the safe, 30 for the data storage, and 20 for the plow truck.
And then Will's.
And Will's, and that's what I needed the number on that.
Okay.
But I just need to know Will's employees, if you approve that one.
Yes, we did talk about that. We gotta go back into non-public session, so we'll bring it up then.
Okay.
You wanna go in a non-public now?
Yep.
I'll make a motion, we go into non-public session.
For what?
Paragraph 93, RSA 91,
This is what
A3,
is here.
paragraph 2C.
Okay.
Actually, I
And
just
also for
A.
wages for A,
Yeah.
Yeah.
A and C. I'll second it.
Yes.
Can I have a roll call?
Commissioner Kenney?
Yes.
Commissioner Sorensen?
Yes.
Commissioner Babson?
Yes.
Then so voted. We're back now in non-public. Thank you, Ed.
Again, in public session.
All right, before Ann comes on, I make a statement that in non-public, the minutes were sealed, period.
And that also I was wanted you to make the statement that you were not gonna allow anybody to use your stamp while you were gone.
And yes, and nobody's used my stamp while I'm away
And that is new
to sign
because-
checks, so that 2 commissioners are here, need to sign the checks.
That is new because last year I knew that a stamp was used because
I don't care, I'm saying,
Yeah, well,
the
that's-
next 2 weeks,
That
they're
is
not to
fine.
use my
You
stamp.
make your comment, let me make my comments. I know that when I was coming last year, a couple times a week to the county and look at it, and when I was signing checks, was only one signature, and was said, don't worry, we just stamped the other one.
Fine. Go ahead, Ian. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
We have a,
It's all right. We understand the stamp issue. Because they all went in the trash in our office.
Oh, good.
So, but I'm not here about that. I'm here to introduce Ken LaValle, who's our Assistant Director of Programs for UNH Cooperative Extension. He just wanted to introduce himself and talk a little bit about Cooperative Extension. So you know, he's our new point person for county office.
is he replacing somebody?
Basically what we did was we reduced the administration for cooperative extension, and by doing that, we took some of the duties that were historically done by a county administrative liaison
Yep.
and transferred that to myself. In addition to
So you're
acting as
doing
an
all
advi-
of the county administration work?
I'm doing all of the liaison work between the Durham campus and the county office administrators like
Okay,
Dan and the
okay,
9
gotcha.
others.
Jim? Ken, before you start, I'm Commissioner Dave Babson, and could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Well, I've been with Cooperative Extension for 9 years. I'm
Obviously not in Carroll County.
Not in Carroll County. I started out as a state specialist in commercial fisheries, and I worked with the commercial fishing industry to help design gear that is more selective so that they could focus on fish that are plentiful out in the ocean and avoid those like cod that are not. Work very closely with business development with the fishing industry as well. I'm not sure if you're familiar, but UNH is a Sea and Space Grant institution too, and I was actually the associate director for the Sea Grant program. So that was kind of an equivalent to extension, but dealt with coastal communities.
And you
only.
replaced who on the Sea Grant?
Brian Doyle.
Brian Doyle. right.
Brian Doyle, right.
Yep.
And then I actually, during the reorganization with Cooperative Extension, I kind of transitioned to purely extension administration, and I no longer work on the Sea Grant side, but I'm still closely involved with them. So my background is a fisheries scientist. You know, I went to UNH for my undergrad. I went to the University of Rhode Island for my graduate degrees, and really enjoy working with the people and doing applied research and making people's lives better. So Cooperative Extension was a perfect fit. Before UNH, I worked for 9 years for a private shellfish company that was in Maine, and developed aquaculture practices for oysters and other species. So I'm accustomed to working with industry members, really not a basic scientist, so Extension was a perfect fit.
Well, has your marine experience gone by the boards now, or is somebody going to fill in?
No,
I remember now that I've heard you speak, I've heard you speak before somewhere else.
Yeah, no, we filled that in. We definitely filled that in. I would say 4 years ago, we brought in Eric Chapman as a fisheries specialist who was working with me as I transitioned into administration. And then on top of that, we brought in 2 other specialists on the Sea Grant side that also work with Cooperative Extension that focus on marine aquaculture and marine debris to energy programs. So
Is that,
we
those
built it up.
part-time funded or part funded between extension and?
Those 2 in particular positions are, one of them is 25% funded by Cooperative Extension, 75% funded by the Sea Grant program through NOAA, and the other position is 10% funded by Cooperative Extension and 90% funded by a combination of Sea Grant and federal grants. So they're not 100% extension positions. They're kind of a crossover between those 2 organizations.
Do you do anything with the state's freshwater fisheries, or is it all sea?
Where I'm not really doing programming anymore,
Well, let me change that.
I
Is the
don't.
university working with
Yes,
the
yes,
fishing game on some of their freshwater programs?
absolutely. Yep. Eric Chapman, who I spoke about a few minutes ago, he's working with New Hampshire Fish and Game on a turn project that's not fish, but looking at climate impacts on how migratory birds are acting. And Jeff Schloss, who is a program leader for natural resources, he still does a lot of work with the freshwater communities and the lake slay monitoring program, and addresses any concerns on freshwater fish species that the citizens might have. But to build on that programmatically, we're hoping Eric Chapman will begin to do more in the freshwater environment, because I think there's a lot of education that can still happen in recreational freshwater fisheries, and water quality impacts on those fish communities, as well as freshwater bait aquaculture, has a potential in New Hampshire to be a good way for individuals to supplement their income.
How about the real bomb ready to go off? Milfoil is the university.
Oh,
I mean,
yes.
Our economy is based on tourism, and if these lakes go to hell in a handbasket, then we're up a creek. And how much research is being done at the university on milfoil?
There is a significant amount of work being done on milfoil. Jeff Schloss works on aquatic nuisance species like milfoil. There are professors at the university that are part of the Jackson Estuarine Laboratory, Fred Short, as well as the Department of Biological Sciences that are working on freshwater milfoil nuisance species and the impact that that's going to have. Because you're absolutely right, our tourist industry, I can't remember what the value is, but it's in the billions of dollars.
Over $1, I can tell you that.
Yeah, it's in the billions of dollars, and I think that
It's
cooperative
the number one
extension-
industry, isn't it?
Yes.
In the state.
It is, and forestry is a huge, like, I think it's a
Number two, I
$2.5 billion, right, it's a number two for the state, so.
Does the cooperative extension do anything with with DRED working on any of these programs or grants that might come through DRED or the federal government?
Absolutely. We have a memorandum of understanding with the Division of Forest and Lands and DRED. We've had it, I can't remember, I think we're on 50 years with that MOU with DRED. So we do work closely with DRED, and I think what's great about extension is we're kind of enhancing the capacity of DRED to do the types of things that you're just talking about by being kind of boots on the ground and working in a kind of an unbiased way with communities. So yes, we work with DRED, and that's been a long-standing relationship and one that I hope continues.
They still have the fish tanks in the old cow barn?
Fish tanks in the old cow barn, yes.
One of my first schmoozes, we went down there, and if you're going in the cow barn, and we're gonna see some cows that I love,
Yeah.
and you walk in, and all there is a million fish swimming around in a huge tank in there.
Yeah, you've
They
got,
turned it into the
Cows are
research
going to
lab.
fish.
right,
Yep.
yeah, I've got to tell
It was
you.
really amazing.
It
was,
is, and that's expanded, and I think the individual that was doing that work is Dr. David Berlinski. He's doing phenomenal work in the area of marine and freshwater fish culture, and I think that's what you were seeing.
Yes. it was.
So if you go again, please by all means contact me, and I can show you. I can give you a tour of those facilities because they've actually gotten even more impressive over the last
You know,
couple of
Ken,
years.
and all the other tours that I've ever been there, and I'm on the advisory board of the Thompson School, nobody ever has ever taken me or anybody else in any group I've been to that place to see it.
Wow.
And you ought to be promoting it.
Yeah,
Maybe it's time
you're
for the
absolutely
Farm
right.
Bureau to have a meeting there.
I think they are, right?
Are they? I don't know.
I think they are. I think, I see, forgive my, I'm trying to learn beyond.
I think you're in a
the
different
marine
time zone,
environment.
Ken. It was a week ago that we were down
Right,
there.
it was down there, right.
Yes.
So it just happened. I'm trying to juggle, all
Farm
of the
Bureau was there?
We
areas.
had our annual meeting in
Oh.
Durham
Yeah, it was in Durham.
last week.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I
or
want
the
to say
week before,
that
I guess. It was the 9th, I guess, of November.
I'm hoping that some cooperative extension ag people helped with planning that.
Oh, we did. We
Okay.
had all
Yeah.
locally grown food.
Yes.
It was very nice.
Great.
Did you see the fish tanks?
No, I'm saying, I've never,
Oh, you didn't
only
see it?
once in all the
Right.
years, they've taken me into that.
Well, the
huge
next
booth that's down
time-
in there.
You're up
I'll
on the
take
Farm
it.
Bureau, you ought to get a group to get down and look at it.
Well, they may have, that day, I didn't get down for the tours, they might have, but it was just so interesting, and everybody hears about UNH being involved with marine research, and then they never show you anything.
Right.
you know.
Yeah, we definitely need to do a better job with demonstrating the type of work that UNH does and the benefits it has to New Hampshire citizens, without a doubt. And that, for cooperative extension too, we've been, that best kept secret for too long, and really want to make efforts to let people know what we're doing. And part of that is I developed a little highlight document that I think you would be impressed by. We had over 4,000 contacts this past year with cooperative extension staff and citizens from Carroll County. And with our regional model, we've kind of made a promise that we were going to have counties get educational resources from beyond their resident educators. So more than just, Ann's office. And we've done that. Nearly 40% of our educators, 35 in fact, participated in programs and developing and implementing programs that Carroll County residents participated in. And that's fantastic. I mean, that demonstrates that our reorganization and our move to a more statewide model is working. I know it's different by county. For example, Rockingham County had about 75% of our educators touch that county. Still working on the information for COOS, and I think it will improve and get better. So I just want to, I guess I'll pass this direction because I really would like you to have a copy of this. And I really also want to let you, the commissioners, both of you know that, what?
Three commissioners.
There's three commissioners here. I didn't see that. There you go, Commissioner, sorry. All three of you understand that Cooperative Extension greatly appreciates your support and the county's continued support for the type of work that we do. And I want to let you know that I mean what I say, and I will be a phone call away to participate in any way you need, any information you require. Working with Ann and myself, we are sure to get that information to you in a very quick and rapid way.
You got a question?
I got a question first.
Okay, go
You have
ahead.
35 field specialists?
We have more than 35 filled. Yeah, sorry.
So the specialists, what you're looking at is specialists from other counties?
Yes.
Okay.
And that includes our state educators that are based in Durham, our state field specialists
Yeah.
that are based in
When
Durham.
I think of specialists, I think of people in Durham, but you're talking about
We're all,
now made specialists like Ann
yep,
in all the counties.
we're all specialists, yep.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, my question was if Ken had any pull in getting the research boat painted a different color so that when people go down to get on it, they get on the right boat.
Yeah, which one is that? Is
It's
it
a
the Gulf
long
Challenger?
story,
or-
but I did it 15 years ago. We're going up to Iowa Shoals with
Oh,
a
geez.
cooperative extension, and my boat isn't going out there.
Uh-oh.
I remember that.
You did a river
Remember
tour?
that?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Oh.
But-
So why do all these people have on gray and red? And they said, well, this is the Cornell alumni
Uh-oh.
boat trip. I said, are they going to the Isle of Shoals? And they said, no.
Just to give you a little bit of another context, over the next year, I'm really trying to meet with all of the boards of commissioners for all 10 counties because I'm finding it's a steep learning curve to understand the local government, and I think it's important that I get an opportunity to meet with commissioners such as yourself, and again, I really appreciate your time.
Ken, getting away from the Marine, are you going to be overseeing all the different programs in the county?
I'm responsible for all
Agriculture,
programming. Yes,
all programs?
all programming in the state in all 4 of our areas.
And how is that going to differ from what Amy does in agriculture?
Amy
You're going to
Ouellette.
set up the program and tell her how to run it? Is that how
No,
it's gonna
no.
work?
It's a good. I think it's a really good organizational structure we have, and we have 4 program team leaders. So Amy
Right.
Ouellette is in charge of our food and agriculture programs, and my role is to facilitate the success of their different program areas. So whether it's youth and family, community economic development, natural resources, or food and ag, I work very closely with those program team leaders to make sure that they and their staff have the resources to be successful. But I am their supervisors. I supervise all of the program team leaders because what I think is also important, especially in the times, the type of economic time we're in now, is to really be sure that the types of things we're doing hit the mark and are highly impactful, good return on investment, and we're really meeting the needs of the citizens of New Hampshire. So I'm kind of that checks and balances myself and Dean Pike, making sure that what we're doing is really strategic.
And the most important thing is to document, as a result of what Cooperative Extension is doing, what is the results? How to measure the results, I should say, is probably the most important thing Extension can do.
It's very important, absolutely.
I want to ask you a question about the Lakes Lay Monitoring Program. It's being done in Eaton, but I don't believe it's being done through Cooperative Extension. Is there someone else that's doing the monitoring of the lakes?
If it's the Lakes Lay Monitoring Program, we're running that. We do that for every body of water that's participating
Because I
in
know
that
somebody, a friend of
program.
mine, does that. I
Is
don't
it
know.
Green Mountain, is it the Green Mountain? I think they're running a water testing
Yeah,
program.
we-
water
We kind
monitoring.
of, the Lakes Lay program.
I don't think Extension gets credit for it, is what I'm saying.
Right, and I agree with you, we don't, but we have a lot of satellite organizations that we work with in this
Yeah.
program. But I think what I was saying earlier is this whole idea of best kept secret, is that's not a good thing. So you're absolutely right, we don't demonstrate or communicate the types of
Because
things we
to me, it
do.
looks like it's a duplication of effort. But
Right,
it's not, because they just don't mention Cooperative Extension.
right, and we're kind of that convener that brings the different nonprofit groups that do lakes monitoring together and assimilate all that data. We do probably 90%, if not more, of all the testing at the Durham facility, and then provide that information to Department of Environmental Services. So it does look like duplication, and that's our fault for not communicating better what we do.
This is a personal question. What is being done about the blueberry, no, the fly that comes in on
The
blueberries?
spotted winged Drosophila?
Yeah, spotted winged Drosophila, right?
Yes, that's interesting. What I can tell you is we are kind of at the forefront of educating and preparing for the spotted winged Drosophila,
Mhm.
and we have George Hamilton and Alan Eaton. Both are doing a lot of education for the spotted winged Drosophila.
Yeah, but the recommendation right now is malathion during the harvesting season, which doesn't sound good.
Right.
And if you're monitoring for it, once you get it, it's too late to
It is,
spray.
but.
So I hope they come up with something better than that.
Me too, but, I'm not an entomologist, but I do know that we have two people that are.
Does it affect
working
low
in
bush
that.
blueberries?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
My assumption would be it would.
It's just amazing that that fly can come in mid-season and affect every one of them, just turns the blueberry to mush.
Yeah.
I had it this year for the first time.
Did you really?
I know in Ossipee, they had it last year at Caperons.
So you can't get rid of it?
Well, I don't know. Yeah, the recommendation is to spray with malathion, but you have to wait a day after you spray
To pick
before
up?
you can pick. It's right during
Can you
pickup.
wash- can
It's
you
right
wash that
towards the
stuff off?
end of the season when I probably lost, I don't know, 10%
Wow.
that landed on the ground. But
What I can do is I'll make sure I touch base with Alan and George, and if
They got a
there's any
meeting,
new
but maybe they just
information,
had a
I'll send
meeting.
it to you. They could have just had a meeting.
okay. Well, welcome aboard. I'm glad you decided to come meet with the commissioners. I think we're a board that has supported Cooperative Extension in the past. I mean, I retired 30 years with Cooperative Extension. Commissioner Babson's on the Extension Council. And our previous commissioners were on the Extension Council as well. Two of them, actually. Peter Oakler and Dorothy Solomon were
Right.
both on it, so.
And Ray Abbott also,
And Ray Abbott, correct,
also served on there.
correct.
Well, I just want to say that I think you have a great conduit to the types of things we do through Ann, and I appreciate, again, your support. We all do.
Mhm.
And thanks for your time.
The last thing I
Thank you.
just want to say is, I just have invitations to the breakfast that we're doing on December 16th
Yep.
from 7:30 to 8:45. and it will highlight what Extension does with the county departments and staff and the inmates.
You got photos or displays
We will.
versus just talking?
We will.
Okay, good.
And we also bringing in an educator from Merrimack County, Tom Linehan, who is working with the inmates at the jail.
Oh, okay.
So we'll highlight what we're doing for that cross-regional programming.
Yeah.
Are you doing anything with that jail?
I will be doing some food safety programming at the beginning of January.
Okay. And the parenting is going by the wayside?
No, parenting is done by
It's
Tom
part-
Linehan
Oh, okay,
from Merrimack County.
okay. So we have parenting, we have,
Food
what's that
safety.
other, food safety and the money?
Money, if it's done, it's done through Tom.
Okay,
The other is Joy Gagnon, our Nutrition Connections person, has made contact with Will DeWitt and Ian Phillips, Sergeant Phillips, and they are planning a family garden project with inmates and their families, and teaching nutrition and gardening at the same time.
okay. When something like that happens, try to get in touch with Commissioner Babson just to let him know that
Absolutely.
that something's going on, and then you can see
Absolutely.
how it goes.
Yep.
Commissioner Babson's in charge of the jail and the farm, so,
Okay,
okay.
sounds great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll be there, Ian.
Okay, I'll let Betty Lou know.
Yeah, I'll be there too. Okay. Al Jones, I assume.
Yes, sir.
Why don't you and your partner come up here and have a seat, please?
Thank you very much. This is Meredith Roy.
Meredith?
Wellness coordinator.
Yes, she's head of our wellness program.
Okay. Covering how big an area?
Pardon?
Covers the whole state? or-
Well, she has one other wellness coordinator assistant, Brittany Egerton. We, between them, we cover the whole state at the moment.
Okay.
We have plans for additional staffing as we continue to grow, so. Thank you for giving us a few moments this morning. First, I wanted to thank you for being a member of the New Hampshire Interlocal Trust.
Right.
As you may or may not be aware, you had the distinction last year of having the largest single claim in the trust. But as often happens after that, your experience has improved. So
We had what, sir?
The
You have-
largest.
you had the largest single health claim in the whole pool last year, the trust. And that's just random.
How much was that?
It was over $700,000.
One claim from here?
Yes, sir. But that's not unusual in healthcare today, unfortunately. So, but as I said after that, generally, as often happens, after a year like that, things have improved. And so while our renewal is not quite finished, the board meeting to approve the renewal is this coming Tuesday afternoon, next week. And, but I can tell you at this point, your renewal looks better than last year's renewal in spite of that claim. And of course, the trust purchases reinsurance that protects us on all claims over $100,000. And when we rate our members, we can throw out all claims over $50,000. And we do an internal sort of reinsurance that we then put a budgetable amount across the entire trust in everybody's premium so that you're protected from wild fluctuations due to large claims.
I don't know, go back to that $700,000 claim. Is there something that we could do to prevent that from happening again? Or is that just a fluke accident or whatever it was that took place?
It's a good question. It was a purely random event that there's not very much that can be done about that sort of thing. It happens.
Al, can you tell us without invading HIPAA? Was it, what department it came out of?
Or
Was it
I
the
don't know
jail
the
or the nursing
department.
home? Or-
It was on a dependent, but I
Oh,
can't.
on a dependent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can't really tell you much more
That's
anyway
all-
because of
that's all.
HIPAA.
Okay.
But it was a
That's
random
been our
event.
problem. It's the dependents and not our employees that are causing a lot of our
Yeah.
higher.
And of course, you have less connection with them. But this was a situation that just happens randomly across the whole world, the whole country.
Yeah.
And it was not unusual
Oh.
in any particular event. I mean, today, the fastest growing claims are claims over $1 million. in the whole country, as our technology and our medicine has become better and more able to do miracles, those miracles come with high prices. And this was certainly a situation where the value was there. The money you spent resulted in great outcomes, and so that's what it's all about. That's why you offer the coverage. So, however, to go back to your question, one of the things that we wanted to spend a few minutes on this morning is to have Meredith do an extremely brief presentation in a couple of minutes about some of the wellness things that the trust has been doing and that you could do more of here at the county. And what's really important is that as the leaders, you folks taking a strong position and participating even in some things perhaps will help your employees get motivated to participate, because across this whole country, I'll tell you what I told Meredith and Brittany, her assistant, when we hired them a year and a half ago, and said, we want to be different. Across America, employers are spending millions, tens of millions of dollars on wellness, and if they get 20 or even 30% participation from employees, they consider it a great victory. I don't. I think that's the failing. We're not getting participation.
She's going to talk about the participation?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep.
I have
Al,
a quick question.
I'll hold the question.
Can you tell us a little bit about Interlock Trust before you start?
That's
Are you
what
a
I'm gonna-
national company or
I'm
a
gonna do that.
regional company or?
The trust is a not-for-profit entity set up under RSA 5B law in New Hampshire for pooled risk management programs similar to Primex, similar to LGC, which used to be NHMA. I was the consultant that NHMA hired back in the early 1980s to set up, well, first actually in the late 70s, we set up their property and liability trust for them. My company did. We're consultants in another life. And then set up in the early 80s the local government health trust. I resigned from there in 1999 when my vision of how the members should be served wasn't exactly the same as some of the leadership. So, and then I eventually, in 2004, was retained by Primex to set up Primex Health. And when they decided to get out of Primex Health, Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare, who was their administrator as well, called me up and said, would you like to set up a new trust that could be a home for Primex Health members as well as others? And so we did that, and on July 1st of 2012, the trust became effective with 17 members. Towns, counties, we have 4 of the counties. We have some cities, we have towns, we have school systems, and we now cover about 3,200 employees and somewhere around 7,000 or 8,000 lives altogether, maybe 9,000 lives.
Well, what is your association with Harvard Medical now?
Oh, there are third-party administrators. They're the company we work with. They're the company that currently provides your employees with health care. Harvard Pilgrim is a unique health insurer. This is for the 10th year in a row. They were just named the best health plan in America, 10 years running, by something called the National Committee on Quality Assurance, which is a not-for-profit that evaluates health plans. And Harvard won it both in member satisfaction and, the most important thing, clinical quality of care. How much time do you have, sir?
So you got plenty of time.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yep.
Why don't you sit up here at the table, because this is up your alley.
Yes, definitely.
So Harvard is truly a unique company. When we set this thing up, my company, Albert C. Jones Employee Benefits, Inc., is the administrator to the trust. And we spent, before we had a trust, we spent the best part of a year working with Harvard to set it up on the theory that hopefully it would be set up, it would work, and that we would go forward, and that did happen. Our trustees, the people, the board that govern it, are made up of local officials elected and appointed, like yourselves. Greg Wenger, administrator for Hillsborough County, is the chairman of the board, for example. So,
And you had, I think I saw that makeup of that board. You have representatives and commissioners on that board?
yes,
One
we have selectmen. We don't have.
selectman.
I don't think we have any commissioners at the moment. Jennifer Fish, the new administrator in Coos County, is on the board.
Okay.
And if one of you folks might have an interest in being on the board, we currently have 7 members. We're authorized up to 9. And so we're constantly looking for good people willing to serve, because it's another commitment. That's a volunteer thing. And, the trust is a not-for-profit. Harvard's a not-for-profit. We're the only totally not-for-profit entity serving the public sector in New Hampshire. The other carriers, Anthem and Cigna, great companies, but they're stockholder-owned companies listed on the New York Stock Exchange, and they send money to stockholders, and the mission statement is far different than Harvard's. And that's important.
Okay.
When you say elected, Al, you didn't mean elected to your board of directors, you meant elected officials and
In the
and
local
appointed
government.
officials, okay.
Correct. No, our board is, now our board is, the board would appoint new members, but so far, we've had one member, Betty Maiola, I don't know if you know Joel Maiola, who was assistant to Judd Gregg, senator for many, many years. His mother was a selectman in Newport for many years, and so she was on our board. She lost her last election, and while she could have stayed on the board, she was a little tired of public service for a while after that, so she chose to resign, but Jennifer Fish replaced her, so, yeah, we've got a great board. They work hard, especially the first year. We completed our first year June 30th. You can imagine the time the board spent setting it up. The trust was formed on March 9th of 2012. First coverage date, which you folks were in, was July 1 of 2012. We completed our first year June 30th. We were able to completely fund our incurred but not reported claims reserve, which is the runoff reserve. When you first start up, it's like a credit card. Your employees go out and have claims, but the bills don't come in, just like credit cards, until later, and then they get paid and the check clears. So you have to set aside money, because at the end, if the trust were to close down at some point, those claims now from the run out at the end have to be paid. So we funded that entire reserve, and we made a surplus belonging to the members. The trust is owned and governed by the members. We made a surplus of just under $2 million in our first year, which was a remarkable piece of good luck, because claims, we have an actuary that projects the claims for the next year, but any good actuary will tell you, for a group our size, we're going to give you about a 95% confidence factor, which means that your claims could fluctuate up and be higher or lower by 5% without anybody being surprised, except those of us paying the bills. So having that amount of money is not a lot at this point, but our hope
Especially
is,
if you get $700,000 claim.
yeah, our hope is that at one time we will have enough surplus to start returning some cash to members. We understand how the law works. I was there when it was drafted originally for RSA 5B and the portion of our returning numbers to money to members at surplus. I'm hoping we may return a token amount to show that we really mean that, maybe a $1 bill, one of our first dollar bills we earned or something in a frame, because we're pretty proud that we finished our first year not only with not a single complaint from a member, group, or an employee. And again, we tasked our staff when we hired them and we started working together. We said, this first year we aren't looking to grow. We just simply want to build all the systems we have, and we want to make things work for everyone, and it did. And so now our best salespeople are our members. They're all very supportive, and we're talking to the town of Ossipee. I'm going to stop in there after this meeting and just say hi. There's some folks talking with them yesterday, and they're thinking about joining. And so
Yeah, you go.
We're not.
He's from
We're
Ossipee.
not insured with you people at this
okay,
point.
yep. Well, I know you're not with us now, but there were some discussions yesterday, and I just thought I'd stop in and say hi to some of the staff on my way back to the office as a courtesy.
Al, does the RSA state how much you have to keep in reserve?
It does not.
So what do you use as a figure, 10%, 15%?
Well, the best guidance I have right now is at the Secretary of State's office, who, as you know, is having some discussions with LGC, allowed them to set up a number of 15%. And that number should shrink as you get larger. So at our size, 15% would probably be about the minimum. As we get bigger, you need less because you fluctuate less. You're more what they call actuarially credible. But in order to start this up, one of our provisions to Harvard when we agreed to work with them and do this was they gave us a $2 million line of credit with no line of credit fees or anything, just guaranteed that if we needed to borrow $2 million from them, that would be there, and that they would further go to a bank and help us borrow another $2 million if we needed to. And the thing I was worried about, I mean, I've done 25 of these around the country, from Minnesota to Arizona and Maine, which is my first one, to Florida. But you always hope the bad year won't be the first year, which there'll be a bad year sooner or later. But had a claim come in the first few months before we had built up any real cash, that was $1 million or $1.5 million, and those happen. I have a client in Massachusetts, the Massachusetts Municipal Pool, where they had a $3 million claim. Well, we have reinsurance for everything over 100, but you pay the claim first and you get reimbursed, and no way we could have written a check for $1.5 million or $3 million in the first 4 or 5 months. So having Harvard behind us was critical to being sure we would not find ourselves in a bind. At this point, we have a lot more money than that in the bank. That health claims turnover, about 90% of them are paid in 90 days. So it's almost like a squirrel in the cage. The money comes in, the money goes out. But we are now running a very substantial, for a little small cash balance in the bank account, which would allow us to, without any question, with that surplus, to pay anything we would expect to pay, even if we had to wait for reimbursement. So we had a good first year. I'd like to say it's all due to knowing what you're doing, but I can tell you, having done this business for almost 40 years, a lot of it is luck, especially in a startup. Starting up anything is, like when you built your new nursing home, I know that you had expectations and you probably actually exceeded them from what I can tell, but it doesn't always work that way. There's such a thing as over budget and late and all that stuff that happens, and we were fortunate.
Not in our case.
No, I know that. I heard it worked out great, but there are other cases out there that aren't quite so wonderful. But we were very fortunate, and we're again delighted to have you.
Is your partner going to talk about the training that you provide?
Yes. Yep, she's going to talk about training and wellness, and thank you for reminding me. I told her to kick me because I get on a roll.
I didn't want you to forget that she was here.
I was getting close, I had the leg up.
So Meredith is going to talk about some of the things that we can do, and the key thing, actually the main reason I wanted to come here this morning, other than saying thank you, was to say we need your support with your employees to help them see the value of being engaged, and we're completely flexible. We customize our wellness programs to each member based on their needs and their desires. So it's all yours, Meredith. Go for it.
With that being said, like Al mentioned, we customize everything, and actually I've had a couple meetings with Lynette over there, and we've actually started discussing some of the wellness programs that we have available, and currently, actually, all three of you might be enrolled in the challenge we have going on right now. It's a points program that we set up for the holiday season to help people get through the holidays, so they don't necessarily overeat or skip out on those exercises that they may be doing. So kind of just a friendly reminder of, hey, don't forget to have that glass of water or 8 glasses of water today to make sure you're staying hydrated. Make sure you're eating your fruits and vegetables. We also tied in personal care and stress management as well, so making sure that people are practicing stress management throughout the holidays. And so far so good. We have I think it's about 30 people signed up for the challenge right now here, give or take a few, which is great. It's a great number to have. It's a start, and I know we've done a challenge in the past with the nursing home that had quite a few, and unfortunately there wasn't a lot of support, and there was kind of a time when a lot of things were going on, so a little bit of confusion. So that challenge was kind of almost a washout. We had about 70 people participate, or register, and only 10 people finished the program. And I think there was just a little bit of miscommunication with that. So I'm very hopeful with this one that we have a little bit of smaller group to start with, see how things go, and with the support of the people in the room here, I think it'll be a great success, especially through the holiday season when it can get a little bit hectic. Well, one of the programs that I would like to kind of highlight that we created this past year outside of the county is a Trust Bucks program that we created. It was a long-term, it's a 6-month program. We did it as a pilot because we weren't quite sure how it was going to work out, us being in our first year. And with a group of police officers, we weren't sure how they were going to take it.
What did you call it?
It's called the Trust Bucks program. Trust, yep, like New Hampshire Angelical Trust, and bucks as in dollars, not deer. So we created a long-term program as a 6-month program, and the reason why this one came about is the police department in Laconia actually came to us looking for a replacement treadmill for their fitness facility. Part of their requirements for on-duty officers, they have to work out at least 2 hours a week. And they wanted to provide a facility for them, which they had. However, their treadmill didn't work, and that was their prime cardio, especially during the winter time. So they came to us looking for a replacement treadmill, and I think they were a little shocked when they said, yeah, we'll do that for you, but you have to do X program. And we sat down with them, and we created this 6-month program, like I said. It included different challenges, so like the one that we're doing here in the county, it's a 6-week-long challenge. We did 2 of those with the police officers. We also did 2 or 3 educational sessions. We did it on nutrition, so we did Nutrition 101. Then we did a cooking demonstration with them. We brought in a crock pot and provided lunch, a healthy lunch option, which we donated the crock pot back to them afterwards. And they've since used it a number of times because they call us up saying, hey, we just created this dish and how healthy is this and blah, blah, blah. It's great. So we did Nutrition 101, a cooking demonstration. Then we did a second cooking demonstration because they loved the first one so much. They asked us to come back and do another one outside of the Trust Bucks program, so in addition to what they were already currently doing. And we did a smoothie demonstration, how to add fruits and vegetables and healthy grains into your diet. They loved it. We also tied in biometric screening, so we had nurses, actually Brittany and myself came in and did height, weight, not biometrics, we did fitness assessments. We did height, weight, and body fat analysis, which we can do right on site. We did it for multiple shifts. We were in there 3 or 4 times in a week's span to make sure that we got each of the shifts and all the employees that day. We also tied it with a wellness fair that they put on every year. So if they attended the wellness fair, which had about 20 different vendors, they had to see X number of vendors to be able to get points for the Trust Bucks program. And that was kind of the extent of the program. It was spread out. There was also a couple little mini challenges in there for people to do that were a couple weeks long. They loved it. They had about 80, just over 80, I think it was 82% of their entire employee base in the police department participate in the challenge. 80% of the work site. It's unheard of. And I really have to kind of thank the police department. The chief of police was really behind it. He participated in it. All of the lieutenants were involved. In each of their shifts, they promoted the program. So I really think that's why the program was so successful there. And of those 80% who registered for the challenge and participated in it, 77% of them participated above average points. So some people participated a little bit less, but 77% completed more than what we asked for them to complete. So I think that was because we asked them what they wanted to do. We took some of their ideas, put it into what we already had for a plan, and we built it around what they wanted to do and what they currently do, but also adding some new things in there like the cooking demonstration and some of those challenges as well. So a couple weeks ago, about a month ago or so, we presented them with this nice whiteboard check that we have here. And this is kind of just an example. I threw Carroll County in here as, you know,
It's blank and we can fill in
I
anything,
know.
right?
The possibilities are endless.
This year?
So the possibilities are endless, and we actually presented this to the Trust Bucks participants at the Laconia Police Department for just over $3,000 for their new treadmill, and they did actually pay part of their treadmill as well. Part of the requirements were that we wanted to have them involved in not only the challenge, but also towards their new piece of equipment. So it wasn't just, okay, now we have this piece of equipment and we didn't work for it, so are we really going to use it? So I just wanted to show you this, and this is a potential opportunity here, and I think with the people that we have in the room and the support that we have, I think that we can do some great things, and long-term programs are growing right now, and I'd love to be able to set up a 6-month-long challenge, or a program with a number of challenges for the employees. I know that there's been a number of requests at the nursing home, and a couple of the other departments do their own little wellness things that we're asked to sponsor in the past, and we'll be more than happy to sponsor those again for the programs that they already have.
I would think the jail would, they have an exercise room and so forth.
Yeah, so that might be great. We can create a little challenge for them to use that exercise room that they already have on site, and we can base it off of participation and get some rewards in there, whether it be for the independent person and or for the whole department, depending on who's participating. So.
What about sponsoring or help with a walking path?
Walking path.
Exercise path.
I know that I think when I first started, or actually my first meeting here, there was a lot of talk about that walking path, and I think there's starts of it, correct?
Yes.
Around. it's not out of the question. It's definitely something that we can talk about and see what the process is, how far along you are, how we can help out. If it's going to benefit the employees, I don't see why we can't talk about it.
One of the things that I've learned over the years, my first wellness program I helped set up for the Maine Municipal Pool in 1985, is that in the beginning, wellness was for the fanatics, if you will. Those folks that work out every day and go to the gym every day and they run in marathons and stuff. And for most of us, that's just not going to work, and it certainly didn't for me. But over the years, it's mellowed out, and you have a totally different kind of wellness folks today who recognize that we're all just human, and what we need to do is what we can. Sometimes just planning around your daily thing at home so that you get to walk up and downstairs a couple extra times. If you do that every day, remarkable what that will do for you. If you don't fight for a spot right in front of the mall door to go shopping and get shot, and instead park a little further away, well lit still in a safe area, but nonetheless, just doing things like that routinely are really important to folks like us. Having a walking path. Walking is one of the best things we can all do. And Meredith is a 2012 master's graduate from Plymouth State University, and Brittany a bachelor's degree, all in wellness and health. And I can tell you, finding good wellness people has been one of the toughest things I've had to help my clients do around the country. They're few and far between, and it turns out that here in New Hampshire, we have probably the best program of its kind in the country. And I've had plenty of sad experience finding out otherwise. So when we started out, we were going to hire one wellness person. We made a connection with a professor at Plymouth State through someone else in Massachusetts that was doing wellness for a client of ours, and she started sending us wonderful people like Meredith. She sent us 5, and we were in a total quandary. We wanted to hire one, and they were all so good. We wanted to hire them all, but we did expand our budget and hire the second one, and hire Brittany, which we felt were our 2 best choices.
And it was very needed with the number of people that we had. I don't know if I would have been able to do it by myself. So.
You would have found a way, because I have that much faith in you, Meredith. But in any event, the point I'm making is we have something special going on here in New Hampshire about wellness, and we just happened to luck into it. Again, like so many things in our first year, things just fell. I told Meredith and Brittany, I said, here's what I want to worry about: participation and stress. Focus on those 2 things. Spend part of your week, every week, researching those things, and go do something. And then I went off and had to do other things that had to be done, and look what happened. It's like amazing. So, we want to help you. We want to help you more than we've been able to so far, and we think if we can have your support as the Board of Commissioners, it will do amazing things. The police department in Laconia wasn't just happy with what my wellness team did. They sent them both gift cards. Ever seen a union do that? I was just astonished. So,
Okay.
you can blush a little. It's okay. The other thing I wanted to, if you have more questions on wellness, we're happy to take them, but I wanted to also, Kathy asked me to talk a little bit about perhaps some alternative plan design you could do that might save you money on your premiums. And so I'm happy to do that briefly.
I want to see the slide program.
Oh, it's not that fancy right now. It's what Al's going to talk about.
Yeah, this is an interesting concept that I wanted to share with you about what you can do. Right now, you have a plan with a $1,000 deductible, except that it actually doesn't have a deductible, because the county is funding the whole thing. So I'm guessing if you go back in time to when you first put that in, that you got a nice premium reduction that year, because the insurer probably wasn't really aware that you were going to fund the whole deductible on the thing. And so my guess is that then the subsequent couple of years, 1 year or 2 years, you got pretty strong increases as the fact that they had priced it with a deductible but that wasn't really there, and so the employees had the same plan they had before. You changed plans, and so the claims didn't change, and so the premium had to come up pretty quickly to get back to even. So one thought I had after looking at that, and we brought some information on an alternate plan with a $2,000 deductible, but one thought I had that would be very, very little disruption would be to take back $500 of that $1,000 you're funding in the HRA and actually have a $500 deductible plan. Because right now you have a 0 deductible plan, even though on paper it says $1,000. So everything else about the plan would be the same. All the co-pays and all the features of it would be the same, but now the employees, and it wouldn't have to be $500, you could make it $250, and we would price it accordingly, because it's not affecting us, because by the time you came to the new trust, you'd already gotten your premiums back to where they belonged for not having a deductible. So now we would look at it as though you were putting in a deductible for the first time of $250 or $500 and rate it accordingly. In other words, reduce the rate appropriately to whatever amount we're going to now ask the employers to participate in. And then one thing I've learned, we work all over the country, and in South Georgia, we work with this small county of about 150 employees, and counties are where everything is in Georgia. You know, the towns, the cities, except for Atlanta and a couple, but they don't do anything. They're almost non-existent. So counties, governments are everything in the South. And so we were working with this county of about 200 employees, I guess, and they were having consistently bad experience and wanted to do something dramatic because Walmart moved their distribution center out of their county, and it was in the middle of a financial crisis, and things were grim. So I had to do some research myself, and I learned about something called incentive HRAs. And that's what Meredith is going to show you. The first slide up there is just simply just shows you that if in 2013 you have your current benefit plan, you don't change the plan. If it's hard to see, come on over here. I've seen it, so I'm happy to move.
Do you guys want me to shut the light down, or is that okay
Yes,
to see?
please.
And if you don't mind, I'll just actually get up and go over there and point to it, because it's easier for me to do that.
You don't have one of those little red lights out?
I'm kind of old-fashioned. I have a special relationship with technology, and my children get a great kick out of all the ways I destroy my computer.
Yeah, we don't allow them to have these pointers. We keep these.
I kind of still do stuff mostly the old-fashioned way. Once in a while, they give me try something new, but it's a challenge. So this is, look at this as your current year, 2013 plan year. These are your claims, they're paid by the insurance company, and you can keep the same plan. You know, right now your premium doesn't change because the plan's right there. If in 2014 you put in a $3,000 deductible, you'll get a reduced premium. You would get a reduced premium, and you have to look at medical trend going up by 10%. So here's what's happened. You're going to pay, if you fund the deductible, you're going to pay all claims below $3,000, and that's if you fund the whole deductible. And then claims plus inflation are here. So what happens is you get some premium savings, but it comes only from the fact that you're paying these claims. And then, because the employees have the same plan they had before, they have a $3,000 deductible, fully funded by the employer, as a public plan with no deductible. And so your claims that you're going to end up paying are more. And so with medical trend and the fact that the employees don't change the behavior, your next year's premium is going to be a nasty surprise, because you had the same plan, no change. And yet you got a premium reduction that wouldn't have been deserved. We're pretty careful in working with our groups not to let that happen. We try to, right up front, if we're putting in a new plan with a deductible, we have this discussion. Are you going to fund any part of it? And if so, how much? Because it makes a difference in what kind of premium reduction you get. So, Meredith, if you go on to the next slide, here is something that this is what we found. We tested in Georgia, and this was resulted in dramatic savings. And you could do this with your current plan, because right now you have a $1,000 deductible completely funded. So you could say, okay, from now on the employee pays $500 from next, July 1st. They pay $500. And then of the other $500, you could say you can get points for up to $500 or $200 or $300, or this is completely flexible, as are the definitions of what. These are things they can do that they should be doing anyway that will help them stay or become more healthy. So these are ways of incenting them, and that's why we call it an incentive HRA. You can mix and match these numbers anyway. You could say, well, the employee pays $250, and then we'll pay. Then they can get another $250 of points, so that they only end up paying the $250 of the $500, and then we'll pay the $500 above. So you can shuffle that $1,000 any way around. But if you want to get results, you've got to have the employees have some skin in the game. They got to have a dog in the fight. So if you were to say $500, believe me, folks will pay attention. But then by giving them a chance to reduce this part way or reduce the other $500 part way, depending upon what your budget requires, and we can work with you to mix and match that around, these are things that will reduce your total health claims. And what we found is that if you make the employees pay the deductible, that reduces your costs. But if you give them a chance to earn part of their deductible back by doing the things they should be doing anyway if they really understood it, not only will they be interested in not having what they don't have to pay, they will become good healthcare consumers. And one of the things that our wellness team does is we teach consumerism classes. Because how do you become a good healthcare consumer? You know, it's great to talk about it, but if you don't know the things you can do, it doesn't happen. We tested this ourselves a few years ago. We decided a lot of our folks were moving to high deductible plans, our clients with HRAs, and we still had an old-fashioned plan with no real deductible, no big deductible. So we put one in with $1,500 deductible. Now, I've only been in the business, this is only my 43rd year, and this was like 4 years ago, and I figured I pretty much knew how things worked. Well, did I get surprises? I learned about pill splitting. We take Lipitor, and at that time it was still on patent. So it comes up, I've got a $1,500 deductible, and my first prescription comes up for a quarter, and it's $630 out of pocket. Wow. I said, I'm going to get my whole deductible filled just with my Lipitor. And I had read an article on pill splitting, and it turned out that Lipitor was something you could split, so I got 20 milligrams instead of 10, split them in half, cut my costs in half. And that's something I never thought about before, even though I should have. And there were other issues throughout the years. Similarly, the things came to my attention because now I had a dog in the fight. And so, you know, I paid attention. And that's what this is all about, this part up here. This part down here is to get them to pay attention to the cost of healthcare and to participate in it to hold the cost down. And it works, and people will become better. Yes, sir.
You skip down to the employee pays out. How do you, A, measure the incentive part of it? And B, how do you prove that these programs are completed so that they get the benefit?
Excellent questions. The top one, completing a personal health assessment is easy to sort of manage that process. We provide them online through Harvard Pilgrim without cost, and they can demonstrate that they've completed it. They'll have a completion certificate. As to the others, Harvard has health coaching programs, and here Harvard is different than the other insurance companies in the state. All the other insurance companies say you have to have certain types of chronic or catastrophic medical conditions to be eligible for a health coaching program. But Harvard says, we think if you think you need some medical advice and some health coaching, and this means an individual medical professional like a registered nurse helping you through your work with your chronic illness to be as healthy as you can be to minimize the effects of it, or help you work through a catastrophic illness, Harvard allows people to self-refer. It isn't a matter of you have to meet certain guidelines before somebody from Harvard reaches out to you and says, you know, you're eligible for health coaching. We have brochures, and as part of the consumerism, we show your employees, teach them about this. They can self-enroll in a Harvard Pilgrim health coaching program, and we can get a list of who did. They can, if they complete it, Harvard says they completed it. In other words, health coaching is something that goes on. For some folks, it could go on forever, actually. But you can pick a point for the enough time of participation to count it for the year. But you know, if you have diabetes, health coaching is something that you could use some of maybe forever. Because if you don't pay attention to it, you end up in emergency rooms repeatedly. You may end up with amputations and blindness unnecessarily. So these are terrific programs, and you can self-refer if you want to participate, which is one of the big differences in Harvard's mission statement. It's what you need to be healthy. Smoking cessation programs, you get a certificate for completion, and again, that's something you can monitor. And weight loss programs, you can monitor that. That's something our wellness team could actually do with you, as we've done with some of the other groups. So, and these aren't the only things. You can pick both the dollar value of the rewards. You can pick which things you want to do, which things you don't want to do. We can help you come up with new ideas specific to your population of employees and what they'd like and need. So this does two things. Making the employee pay something, no matter what, is important because that gets their attention. I mean, it certainly got my attention when I went to get my first prescription for Lipitor. It's like, okay, now I understand. I'm a participant in this process, not just a beneficiary. And then you have them do some of these things, and this is where they learn how to be a good healthcare consumer, how to take better care of themselves, do the things that all of us should do if we really thought about it. And so what you do here is you're doing two things. You're reducing the costs of claims, which in the long run reduces what the employees have to contribute for their care. It postpones benefit changes in the future to a later date than they might come if nobody was paying attention to how they're spending their healthcare dollars. You know, one of my favorite illustrations, if you're gonna buy a car or a refrigerator or maybe even a toaster, guess what? You're very apt to go on either Blue Book or Edmunds, or you're gonna go to Consumer Report, and Consumer Report will tell you more about that toaster than you ever wanna know. And but a lot of people do that, especially with cars and refrigerators and stoves. But your doctor says you need open heart surgery. What do you say? Okay, well, what do I do now, doc? Where do I go? Or you need a colonoscopy, or you need any kind of test, MRIs. You just do what you're told. Well, it turns out, and we have a program for this called Save On. And it turns out that where you go for these things, you can pay $3,000 for an MRI, or you can pay maybe $500. Same thing, no difference in product. And so this company Save On provides this program where if you were told, let's say I was told, you need an MRI, and my doctor says that, and he says, I set you up at such and such hospital to have it done. I call a toll-free number to Save On, and a nurse answers the phone, and I explain, and she says, well, let me see here. We've got 3 other MRI vendors within 20, 25 miles of where you are, and one of them's $500, one of them's $15, yours is $3,000. So if you choose to go to one of the other ones, one of the lower cost ones, depending on how much you save in total claim cost, you get, as an employee, up to $75 or more if the employer wants to set it up that way. And if it's a simple thing, you might only get a smaller thing with smaller value, you might only get $25 or even $15. If it turns out you're already scheduled for the lowest cost provider, you get $10 for taking the time to make the call.
How do you know, how does the average person know whether, if I see $3,000 and I see $500, I immediately think, I'm not getting the same thing.
But that's why Save On exists, because they vetted all these people. They're all participating providers in Harvard Pilgrims Network, and Harvard vets them like crazy. So
they're not just giving you mileage. They've looked all of these over, and
right,
I guarantee you're getting the same
absolutely
quality at the.
There's no such thing as a guarantee, but these are all approved and carefully what they call credentialed providers of this care. Absolutely, all properly licensed and all that stuff. And so, and the best part of it is, most of us, when our doctor tells us to do something, we just do it, and we don't want to upset that process. But so the Save On nurse calls the doctor's office and says, Al has decided he's going to go get the MRI over here, and here's the information on, here's when he's going to go, and they call the new MRI place and make the appointment, cancel the one or the old one. So the employee has nothing to do but make that call and listen and decide if they want to participate. It's totally voluntary on the part of the employee every step of the game, but then Save On makes it easy by taking care of all the appointment details, which, I don't, a lot of us wouldn't want to call our doctor's office and say, well, doctor, I've decided to go to somewhere you didn't tell me to go because it's going to save $3,000. But guess what? Most doctors haven't, at least in the past, paid attention to that because they aren't paying the claim, and for the most part, before deductibles became more common in health insurance policies, you weren't paying much meaningful amount of the claim, so nobody cared. Well, again, this is another way with that incentive to give people a dog in the fight. The way it works, there's a monthly fee for every employee that has to be paid. The trust pays that, and then the employer pays the rewards, and that gives you a chance to set how much the rewards are and what for, but the rewards are a small part of your savings because the typical thing says if you save more than $1,000, the employee gets $75 as an example. So what goes into the claim savings is much greater than the reward, and it's all found money for the county because otherwise the claim would have been whatever it was going to be, $1,000 instead of $200 or $3,000 instead of $500. So again, we look at it two ways. One is we need to get the employee involved, and we need to reward them with either better health or money to get them to really become a good healthcare consumer, because it isn't enough to just do things grudgingly. A lot of employers pay folks money for completing the online or otherwise a personal health assessment. They pay them $100 maybe, because that is useful information both to the employee and their physician. But a lot of people just go through it and just answer any old funny ways, like voting for Mickey Mouse when you go to the polls, right? Because you don't like any of the candidates this year. That doesn't accomplish anything. But when in fact they're doing it is going to help them in a different way and they've started to learn all these different pieces coming together about being good healthcare consumers, they change their behavior. That county in Georgia, we did this for the first year. They went from a $500 deductible to a $1,500 deductible. The employee was in for $500. Then the county funded $500, and they could get the last $500 if they did these incentives like this. Saved them 17.8% on their premium. On their claims, I'm sorry, which related to the future premium. We gave them a premium reduction, but their claims went down 17.8%. I can't guarantee that here because past performance is no guarantee of future results, just like in the stock market. But I can tell you, when your employees start caring and understanding what to do about their health, life changes. And that's our goal. It's not just to be another insurance company taking money from one point and shuffling it over here and paying the claims and coming back next year and raising the rates. Our goal is to improve people's health. That's Harvard's goal, that's our trust goal. And since we know this is something you provide as an employee benefit, what better benefit than making them and their family members healthier or as healthy as they can be? So I'm off my soapbox. I get excited about this stuff. I'm all set with that. Thanks. So if you have any other questions of us, we're happy to answer them. We're happy to come back anytime. We're really as creative as it can be in terms of helping you solve these things with your employees and help them be healthier and hold your costs down. I'll pass this around. This is just a plan like yours with a few differences. The deductible goes from $1,000 to $2,000, and the co-pays increase from 15 to 20. Those are the two major changes.
Is that the only plan what you have, or do you have also a different plan?
Al, Commissioner Kenney asked if this was your only plan, or do you have other plans?
We have dozens. We just.
Or you bring only one?
We just picked one out for you to look at, since it's so similar to your existing plan, except the co-pays go from $15 to $20. And what we have here is a comparison, actually. Your current plan is on the left column, and the alternative is on the right column. So just so you can see the differences, but we have many different choices. And then, as you see, like I said, you can turn your current plan into an alternative plan by just having the employees fund some of the deductible.
One of our problems is that some of our employees can't afford to pay the 20% that we pay 80, they pay 20. And so some of them have dropped insurance coverage because of that. How do you suggest that we get around that? Paying them more money probably, wages.
Well, have they dropped it completely, or have they dropped it perhaps going on a spouse's plan? Because sometimes that works better.
Get some help?
Probably some of them have dropped it completely, yeah. And that's not unusual as costs go up. And there isn't really any good answer to that. I mean, you can increase their pay, or you can reduce their contribution. I think it's more effective to give them a better plan or charge them less for it than just to give them pay, because if you give them pay, they have to pay taxes on it. If you pay more premium on their behalf, it's not taxable. So in terms of what's the greatest value of the dollars you spend on your health care benefits, it would be in the premium itself. I do think that doing some things to engage them in the consumer process would be useful to you in terms of reducing costs and reducing the rate of increase going forward as a way to help you maintain their benefits with a lowest contribution as possible. Because right now you have a plan where there's almost no reason for a person, just like me before we put our $1,500 plan in, there's no reason to really think about where you get care, what you get for care. Do you ever ask your doctor, is there an alternative thing I could try first before we go through this MRI? There's lots of alternative diagnostic procedures and tests that can be done, but you don't even care or know enough to ask unless you're taught about it. And if you're taught about it and you don't listen because there's no financial incentive in it, what difference does it make? So it takes pulling everything together. You have to pull all the levers that motivate us human beings to change our behavior to make this stuff work.
I'm not sure that I really am up on this, but we have to provide, as a large employer, under Obamacare,
Yep.
an affordable program.
Correct.
How is this going to affect us?
You have so much room to go.
We do.
Basically, the test right now is the cost, the premium share they pay can't be more than 9.5% of the individual employee's pay. Okay? So, we'd have to look, I don't know your payrolls, but I'm guessing, that your plan certainly passes the test of being a credible plan under Obamacare. That's not a question. You'd have
It
to.
meets that HET
Yeah.
or HEB or whatever it is.
Right, completely.
Yep.
So, in fact, you could go to a $5,000 deductible and probably be there on that.
Okay.
So, it's really a matter more, in your case, of balancing the cost you ask the employee to pay than it is worrying about what your coverage is. Your coverage is fantastic.
Okay.
So it's a matter of making sure that their 20% isn't more than 9.5% of their gross
Wage.
Yeah.
That's of their gross pay, is that
Yeah,
correct?
right, and I think, Tammy certainly can help you through some of this, and my son Rick, who has worked with me for over 25 years in this pooling business, he's our company expert on the healthcare reform line. Can't know everything, and I certainly don't, but Rick is a great resource. He can come up and talk with you folks, or always a resource for you to call and on all those questions. But if you have, one of the things you have to be aware of is that 30 hours is now a full-time employee under the law, will be next year. And a lot of times you don't think that you have folks that fall under that, but you might have somebody that does 10 hours a week working at the nursing home and maybe 10 hours a week or 15 hours a week doing groundskeeping or something or some other things. And so you may have someone that's kind of in 3 separate departments and nobody thinks they meet the 30 hours test, and they do. So if you haven't checked on those things, you need to go through and just make sure you really understand who's full-time under the new law.
That's the same thing with 2 individuals doing the same job. If
That's correct.
it's 15 and 15, it's 30.
Right, yeah. So, well, no, those are 2 part-time. If they.
I thought the new regulation was that if you did that in order to avoid the
I'll double check.
part-time, they add them together, and
I'll
you're
double
now
check, but
responsible for
I
the,
think if they truly do just work 15 hours each, I think they.
for the
they are
same
part-time.
job.
I'll
think
I'll
you'll
double
find
check.
that
Like
they
in
have to be
schools, you
added
have
together.
a lot of job sharing between teachers.
Right.
They each work 20 hours, but I'll double check that question for you. But we can help you work through all of those issues. But I do think, I'm guessing your budget isn't much better than most of the other public entities in the state. It's pretty stressed. So I'm thinking that employee education and getting them engaged in the process is the best thing you can do for yourselves as commissioners of the county and taxpayers, and for your employees. Because it isn't just about making them pay a deductible. It's about making them become a good healthcare consumer. That's what it's really about. They'll take better care of themselves, and that's where it's at. So, working, and you don't have to start big. You could start in with saying, okay, we've got a $1,000 deductible plan. We'll keep the same plan, but we'll take $500 and say, this $500, you're going to have to pay $250 no matter what. And then the other $250, you can earn all or part of it back by doing various incentive things that you say it this way to the employee, but that you should be doing anyway, or you would be doing anyway if you even understood the importance of it. And so all of a sudden it becomes important for them to understand from their perspective, because it's money out of their pocket. And that would give you an immediate premium reduction, and in addition would give you, I believe, significant claims reduction going forward that will be meaningful in terms of holding down your rate of increase in the future.
This may be off the subject, but my wife informed me yesterday that she went to Walmart to buy drugs for my 95-year-old mother-in-law, and she saved $100. $100 between what Rite Aid or CVS compared to Walmart. $100 for the same thing,
Oh, yes.
same amount.
Yep. That's one of the things I learned.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. It's, and there are other group, Target has programs like that, and there are others. And again, this is part of being a good consumer, is knowing this stuff. And it doesn't
Yeah.
work for everybody. In other words, no one solution works for everybody, because we all have different needs and different drugs and different medical issues. But if you're aware of all or most all of the opportunities, you're going to have a reason all of a sudden to pay attention and try to take advantage of your ways of saving.
Okay, we got any questions for,
I think Kathy and Deb and I had already planned to talk with Al once we start looking at rates and plan alternatives as to maybe having an optional plan for those people who really need some just kind of coverage. I mean, and if we had a crystal ball as to what is going to happen with Obamacare or Affordable Care Act, you know, then we would know where to go, but it's so volatile.
It's changing every day almost now. It was every week for a while, now it's almost every day.
Yeah, so we're just gonna do the best we can
Exactly.
moving forward and just being very on top of it, but absolutely, consumerism is huge with the employees knowing all of those factors.
You can count on us that we will work with your team as closely as they need and provide whatever resources that we possibly can to help them come up with good ideas for you as a board. I wanted to share concepts with you because at the end of the day, you set the policy, and so understanding why your team might come back to you with suggestions, I think, is important. And the same on the wellness front. Great opportunities there, but it really does need your top support to make people take it seriously.
I think we're very much interested in a wellness program for our employees. How do we also get involved the dependents of those employees?
We can easily do that. We've actually, one of our challenges that we did this, it was actually in the spring, we opened it up to to families as well, spouses and dependents. They were eligible for prizes on the lower side, but we kept it to the members for the grand prizes, just we thought that would be more fair. But yeah, we sent trackers home with the individuals, and they were able to have their kids participate with them, have their spouses. We collected data on that as well, and out of those, I believe there was 15% of our entire population ended up going, or reported that they worked out with their family or at least a coworker as well, who wasn't involved. And we also offer all of our wellness programs to people not insured with the trust, so any employee at the county is able to participate in the challenges. So it's not just health insured through the trust. You know, to make wellness spread, you have to involve everyone, regardless of how they're insured. So.
Since you own us, all your problems are our problem.
Is there a time of the year that's better to start a program like that?
Really, it doesn't really matter when you start it. It's how well it's organized. 'Cause you can have the best program work for one group in the spring, and then it may not work for another group. It really depends on how it's organized and how it's presented to the employees, and having that support behind and encouragement. I think I know it won't make a difference when you offer it. We're currently doing the Maintain Not Gain challenge right now. It's called the Well 100. And we were talking about doing another one in the spring of a walking challenge and or a fitness challenge as well. So.
One of the other things that they brought to my attention, the reason we hired Meredith, and we had all our wellness candidates come in and give us a 15-minute wellness presentation. In the first 5 minutes, I learned 2 things about wellness I didn't know, and I said, okay, we're learning things here from Plymouth State. So, but my point is, we can evolve and change, but they came to me with this thing called the Fitbit. And I'm going to let you describe it. It's fairly expensive, so what we do is we bought a bunch, and we do pilot programs with members that really want to get into this, and we put them out on loan, and then they come back when the program is over. You want to talk about
Sure.
Fitbit?
I don't have it on me today because it needed a new battery, so I was replacing it. But it's in a high-tech pedometer, and it tracks your steps, your mileage, calories burned. Some of the newer ones have the ability to track your sleep patterns, so how much you move during the night, but the ones that we have don't do that. It syncs with your computer or smartphone if you have that. You can add other apps into that, so if you use a calorie counter, it will keep track of the food that you eat and take the calories in, subtract it from the amount of steps that you're taking, the calories burned, and tell you what you're either over or under. It's a nice little way to keep you in check, and sorry, I don't mean to keep my back too.
We had that program back.
It was just a little.
We did the regular standard pedometers here,
yeah.
but we do have the high-tech pedometers, which we were trying to get here, and it wasn't improved in time. We wanted to offer it to the employees, so we ended up going with the standard ones, which may have had a little bit of an issue because they weren't as high-tech. People lost them a little bit easier, so the newer ones they're very nice.
In fact, the latest version of the Fitbit was named and featured in Forbes magazine 2 weeks ago as one of the leading technology advances of the year. Just incredible thing. It's like, they made me wear, our whole team participated in the statewide challenge we did. They made me wear one of these things for, how long was it, 6 weeks?
6 weeks.
Yeah. And needless to say, the team I was on, we lost, but I did. I walked a lot more than I would have walked.
I had a great team.
Yeah, I walked a lot more than I would have otherwise, because, after a while, after a few days, you get curious, how many steps did I walk today? And so it starts to change your mental attitude a little bit.
You want to do a little bit more each day to get that goal of the 10,000 steps. It's what's recommended for healthy individuals to receive or to take 10,000 steps a day, which is about 5 miles. The average person takes about 1 to 2 miles, walks about 1 to 2 miles, and that's on the high end. So getting people interested in how far they're going and to push them a little bit further, incorporating with a challenge, so now they're competing against their coworkers. People start to talk, and hey, how many did you do? Well, I didn't have a great day.
Yeah, I'm just going to ask you, your programs have competition, teams?
Yep, we do it as an
Playing against
individual
other
basis,
teams.
but also as a team, because we want to get, some people aren't team people, so we want to include everyone, so we set it up as an individual, but they can work together as a team to achieve different goals, but it's still set for an individual to have success as well.
I never got to the 10,000 steps a day, but I started getting up into 6 and 7 pretty regularly, which for me was quite an accomplishment.
Okay, we got to bring this to a close.
Thank you very
Do
much.
people have any questions, any further questions?
No, we'll
Thank
be
you for all
fine.
your time.
You know who the contacts are? Okay.
Absolutely. I send an email out, and within a few minutes, I have a response with all the attachments that I've asked for, so they are very, very responsive. I
Okay.
appreciate that.
I think this is going.
Thank you very much.
offering
Thank
this
you.
wellness program.
Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
Yep.
Appreciate your time.
Yeah.
And we'll do what we can to support it.
And we'll be back when you ask us.
Okay.
Mind if I have a cup of coffee before I go?
Sure, go ahead.
Thank you.
Yep.
They're $5 a piece.
At this point, it could be a bargain.
And if you wait, what is it, how much is our insurance going up? If you wait, it's another 11%.
Only $4.80.
Okay.
That was very informative.
Yeah. Do we have anything else we need to bring up today?
Al, if we as individuals have questions, Al, if we have individuals have questions, can we call you up?
He's hard of hearing, sorry.
Oh.
As individuals, meaning about the plan itself?
About anything. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
Insurance was a weakness for me, and I just,
You're
the
all out
more we
of,
learn, the better off we are.
you're
Definitely.
all out of Concord, I assume.
Yes, we're right out of Pembroke, right, Concord, Pembroke line, so it's pretty much the same thing, we're about a mile apart. Yes, please feel free
Are
to
you in
reach
the
us out.
same building with Primex?
No, we are different. We are over off of 106, so
okay.
Manchester Street and 106. I don't
Okay.
remember where Primex is. They're
They're down
Across
in
the
Concord.
river.
Concord, yeah, I think they're
Well,
other
they're
side.
not-
South of
I
Concord.
think I've
They're on
seen
the
their
Concord
sign.
Bow line, not Pembroke.
Yes, yeah, the other
You
side.
go Manchester Street on yours.
Mm-hmm, yep, corner of Manchester Street and 106.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
And we can get in education. If you have those questions.
Okay, are you familiar with this? This came from Howie regarding some conditions regarding union contract. On that second page, he's listed quite a few. I don't know if he's talked about those in your meetings or not.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, anything further? If not, I hear a motion to adjourn.
Don't we have to?
Second.
We have another, well, we already had the second non-public, didn't we?
Yeah.
I thought
Yes,
we
we
already did it.
Yeah, we
Did we
did.
do already?
We did.
Yep.
And
Make a motion, we adjourn?
You already.
Second. All those who support of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and so.
So who make the motion now? Because there were two on the floor.
Commissioner Babson made the
Okay,
motion
Babson
to
now?
adjourn. I second it.
Okay, can we put a timer?
Okay?